Hello, class 9th physics, chapter work, energy and power. So, we'll start with work. Work is said to be done if force applied to an object displaces it in the direction of force. So, here we have a formula for that to calculate work. Work equal to force multiplied by displacement. SI unit of work, force has unit Newton and displacement has unit meter. So, Newton meter, or it is also called joule. It is also called kg meter squared per second square. In the books you can see this is also written as kg meter square second minus 2, and simple mathematics if we take it in the numerator. There are CGS units also. Dyne centimeter, which is called erg, and which is gram centimeter square per second square. And there is a relation between 1 joule and erg. So 1 joule is 1 kg meter square per second square, and which is equal to 1 into 1000 gram into 100 meter square per second square, and which is actually centimeter, which is further equal to 1 into this, and square of 100 will be this. So rest of it is gram centimeter square per second square. Now it has become 10 to the power 7 gram centimeter square per second square, which is erg. So 1 joule is equal to 10 to the power 7 erg. There can be negative work done, positive work done, even zero work done. Zero work done, we can think about it if F is 0 or S is 0. But despite of that, if both are even non-zero, still we can have zero work done. So how? First, I will define positive work done. So if force and displacement both are in same direction, that is, if F is along this direction and S is also along this direction, so this is what its definition says. So what about negative work done? If force is applied in this direction and displacement is opposite to the applied force, how is it possible? Yeah, of course it is possible. Let us suppose uh, there is an object placed on a surface, and you have pushed it so that it is sliding in this along this direction. So its displacement is along this direction. Let us suppose it has traveled from here to here. So this is its displacement. And now you can say that we have pushed it and it is displacing along this direction. We have applied some force. But if I'm not talking about the force applied by you, I'm talking about the frictional force. There is a frictional force between this object and the earth's surface, or the floor on which we are sliding it, like this time. So how it has stopped? Due to frictional force. So actually frictional force is acting opposite to its motion. So if we talk about frictional force, it is always opposite to the displacement. So you can see frictional force, I am writing small f. So both are in opposite direction. So for negative work done, we have an example of frictional force. There are several other examples also. We will see them later on. But what about zero work done? Zero work done, take a case when force and displacement both are non-zero, but still work done will be considered as zero if force and displacement both are perpendicular to each other. What can be this situation? Yeah, there is a situation. Let us suppose you are carrying a load on your head and you are going this way. So you are applying force in upward direction and getting displaced along this direction. So in physics, actually in daily practices, people will say you are doing work, but uh, in contacts with physics, you are doing no work because your force applied is not along the direction of displacement. So there are two forces actually. One, gravity is applying force in downward direction, and you are applying force on upward direction. So neither gravity nor you are doing work here. Next concept is energy. The capacity of a system to do work is called energy. Energy of that system. Its SI unit is also joule. Why? Because its definition specifies that capacity to do work means work and energy are interrelated with each other or interconvertible into one to other. If the system has energy, it will do work. If a system do work, so it converts one form of energy into other form of energy. So basically we have several types of energies, but for a mechanical system we can define energy into two categories. So here is mechanical energy. It can be divided into two parts because both together form mechanical energy. One is kinetic energy, other is potential energy. Kinetic energy, the energy possessed by a system due to its state of motion is called kinetic energy. Its formula is 1 by 2 multiplied by mass multiplied by velocity square, and its SI unit is joule, once again joule, and all other units which we have used in to measure work. In the same way, there is potential energy. Potential, the meaning of potential is like ability. So potential energy, the energy possessed by a system due to its state of rest, but it is not completely well defined. Not just this any state of rest, but some spatial configuration. Configuration means some kind of arrangement, like this time this marker has low potential energy, this time it has high potential energy. How? Because when I release it, it drops. So when it is moving, it has kinetic energy, we can see that. But when it is at rest, still it has potential energy, some energy which is potential energy, because it can do work. So when it reaches here, what about its potential energy? Of course, if it has tendency to fall down, so still it has some potential energy till it reaches the ground. There can be several kind of potential energies, like in a spring, if we compress that spring, it gains some energy, and that is potential energy because of its configuration. And if we take the case of bow and arrow, then when the string of arrow is stretched, then at that time this system gains so much potential energy. So, but right now I'm neither talking about this nor talking about this. I'm talking about a simple case when an object is lifted from ground to some height. So in this case, it has gained some energy, and that is called potential energy. That is gravitational potential energy because of its gravitational nature. So gravitational potential energy is mgh. What does it mean by gravitational nature? Because the force involved in it is gravitational force. Actually, gravitational force is acting downward, and that gravitational force has done some work to reach here. Actually, we have lifted it, but we will say that how much work is done on this object is equal to its gravitational potential energy, because when we release it, then that gravitational force will give that work back to us. Here we are lifting it, and when we release it, then gravitational force making it to come down to the ground level. So still both have unit joule. Remember this, half mv square and mgh. Next, so this kinetic energy itself is related to some work, and we call the relation between kinetic energy and work in the form of a theorem, and that theorem is called work energy theorem. Actually, generally change in energy values is equal to some amount of work done, but this theorem is mainly based upon kinetic energy. All the consideration of energy is in terms of kinetic energy in this theorem. So according to this theorem, so work done on a moving object is equal to change in its kinetic energy. What does it mean? So we can say We know that work done is equal to force multiplied by displacement. And the same relation we can write as MAS. From where this MA has came, we know F equal to MA according to Newton's second law of motion. Now, we will do some side work here. We know that V square equal to U square plus 2AS. Third equation of motion. Now we will do little bit algebra here. V square minus U square equal to 2AS. So AS will be equal to 2 will come in the denominator, V square minus U square upon 2. We can put it here. Let us suppose this is equation 1, so we can support our claim here. So it is V square minus U square upon 2 in the place of AS. We have this from equation 1. And here I have mentioned that equation 1. Okay, so mv square upon 2, which I can write here. Upon 2, you can write it like this, or you can put 1 by 2 in front. Both are same thing. And see, this is what kinetic energy formula is. Here final velocity is taken, so it is kinetic energy final minus here initial velocity is taken, so kinetic energy initial. That's all. This is what this theorem is all about. Work done on a moving object is equal to change in its kinetic energy. So we can say that we have now an alternate formula to calculate work done, but in terms of kinetic energy. Next, this gravitational potential energy, we can derive this expression also. For that, what we can consider derivation of gravitational potential energy. So for that, we can assume two levels. An object here of mass m, it is the ground level, and now it is lifted to this height, h height. So okay, we will find work done. Actually, whatever the work done we do on this system is equal to the measure of potential energy it is gaining. So work done by applied force, W equal to force multiplied by displacement. So here applied force F is equal to mg. Whatever be the gravitational force or the weight of the object acting downward, the same amount of force we need to lift it up. And displacement here is equal to this height it has reached. And that's all. W equal to mg times h. And this is the measure of gravitational potential energy of the body. So U equal to, this is the symbol used in senior classes, so I'm not going into it. I'm using PE. PE equal to mgh. So here conservation of air, law of conservation of energy, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. We know about it. So for a mechanical systems or for mechanical energy, it is constant, means it is fixed. Its value will not change. And we know that total energy consists of kinetic energy plus potential energy. If we talk about mechanical energy, it has a certain verification, but I'm not covering it in this video. I will make a separate video on that. But the whole thing is that, like, if there is a freely falling object, here I have dropped something, it reached till this point. So what will happen? Initially, because I have dropped it from rest, I haven't thrown it, I have just dropped it. So in this position, just the starting position, its kinetic energy, it is A, B, and C. So at A position, kinetic energy is 0. And potential energy is mgh. So the total energy remains mgh. Now it will speed up, and when it is speed up, its kinetic energy increases, and its potential energy, because its height from the ground level is decreasing, so its potential energy decreases, but still total energy remains mgh. And at C, actually, just consider like it is about to hit, because when it will hit the ground, it will stop. But just before touching the ground, kinetic energy at C is become very very large, and potential energy becomes almost zero, but total energy will remain mgh. So I will derive it in separate video. Just keep this thing in your mind. At each step, total energy remains constant. So if initial energy is given and they have asked at any position its total energy, then just that value which was earlier given will be the answer. Remember this thing. So initially, if it was totally potential energy, then very near to ground, it will totally converted into kinetic energy. And in the same way, if we throw something from something upward, so initially there will be total kinetic energy, and at the top it will become potential energy. So they are interconvertible. And in the same way, there are some other systems like this catapult, gulal in Hindi. So when we stretch its string, so it gains potential energy, and when we release, then that potential energy get converted into kinetic energy that is gained by this object. And in the same way, spring, if we compress it or stretch it, it gains energy, and when we release it, it gives its energy convert into kinetic energy. So there are lots and lots of examples for that. Power. So this is the rate of doing work by a system is called power of the system. In simplicity, we can say it like this, but this work done can also involve energy consumed, can also involve energy delivered. So keep these things in your mind. So power is work upon time, and it can also be given as power equal to energy delivered or energy consumed by time. It has SI unit watt, W, or if we measure work in joule and time in second, then it is joule per second also. It means 1 watt equal to 1 joule per second. In fact, from here we can say 1 joule is equal to, see, right now I am talking about now energy. This is energy, unit of energy. It can be given as 1 watt multiplied by second. And from here, commercial unit of energy is defined, which we generally call unit, which is measured in the in our power meter boards. So if P is measured in kilowatt, kilowatt is the bigger unit of power than watt. Every base unit has some higher unit like kilo, like mega, and smaller units also. So here its bigger unit is kilowatt, and of course we know that 1 kilowatt is equal to 10 to the power 3, that is 1000 watt. And if time is measured in hour, and we know that 1 hour equal to 60 into 60, that is 3600 seconds, or we can say 3.6 into 10 to the power 3 seconds. So 1 unit is equal to, we'll multiply both of them, like here watt multiplied by second, like here energy equal to power multiplied by time. So in order to derive commercial unit of energy, we will measure power in kilowatt and time in hour. So this is 1 kilowatt hour. This is what commercial unit of energy is. And this 1 kilowatt hour is equal to 10 to the power 3 watt multiplied by 3.6 into 10 to the power 3 second. That is 3.6 into 10 to the power 6 watt second. And this watt second is equal to joule. So we can summarize the things by saying 1 unit which is consumed in our house is equal to 1 kilowatt hour, and which is equal to 3.6 into 10 to the power 6 joule. Practice it and understand it. It means that if you have a device in your home and its rating is 1 kilowatt and it is used for 1 hour, then it will consume 1 unit of energy. Here I am giving you two examples. Let us suppose you use a heater, room heater of rating 2 kilowatt. Generally you can see there is 220 volt and 2 kilowatt written over it. So this is for class 9th standard. It is of no interest to us, only this value. This is telling its power. And if you run that heater for, let us suppose, 2 hours, then this is power consumed, power utilized by it, power rating of it, and this is time till which we have used it. So energy consumed by it will be power into time, that is 2 into 2, that is 4 kilowatt hour. And on the other hand, if you have an LED bulb of power, let us suppose 10 watt, then first convert this 10 watt into kilowatt by dividing it by 1000. 1 upon 100 watt kilowatt. And let us suppose you operate this LED bulb for 20 hours, then energy consumed will be power into time again. So 1 upon 100 into 20, that is 0.2 kilowatt hour. 1 kilowatt hour is 1 unit, so it is equal to 4 unit, and it is equal to 0.2 unit. So more is the kilowatt rating, more is the energy consumption. And if we take, see here I have taken 2 hour consumption only, and then it has utilized 4 unit of energy. But on the other hand, this LED bulb, I have operated it for 20 hours and still it is not till 1 unit either. So this is the concept of commercial unit of energy. So that's all in this video. In next video, we will discuss about some workout problems on this entire chapter. Bye bye.